the middle of the 14th century BC, a pharaoh called Amenhotep IV became the ruler of Egypt. This king is universally known with the name he adopted from the year 5 of his reign, Akhenaten, and his reign is a special, unique episode in the history of Egypt, usually called the Amarna period. The king introduced a monotheist cult centered on the Aten, the sun disk. The revolution took place in rapid stages and was reflected in the progressive dismantling of the existing religion. Karnak, for instance, was closed and the chief priest of Amun dispatched on a mission to a remote quarry. The representation of the sun disk in the very characteristic heart of the period makes it clear that it was precisely the disk depicted with rays terminating in helpful little ends, the object of Akhenaten's worship. The king founded a new capital located at Amarna in Middle Egypt. Amarna is a sort of desolate bay of flat land located at about 300 kilometers to the north of Thebes. We do not know why the place was chosen, although one possibility is that its position may have been influenced by the occurrence of a solar eclipse. In any case, the new capital was abandoned shortly after the pharaoh's death and the restoration of the old cult made by Tutankhamun. The Amarna temples were quite different in conception from those of the old religion. Where spaces became increasingly dark, the nearer one was allowed to approach the final chapel. The Amarna temples are instead courtyards open to sunlight the whole day. The most interesting for us is the so-called Small Aten Temple. This building has an explicit connection with the pharaoh tomb, which is located on the east bank of the Nile, in a narrow side valley of a wadi, a dried river, that dominates the eastern horizon of the town. This choice of the position for the king's tomb is quite unusual, since the rulers were always buried on the western bank due to the association of death and rebirth with the setting sun. Here, rebirth is associated with the return of the Aten and therefore with sunrise. This idea was reinforced with the use of an already old solar symbol associated with rebirth, a symbol that we have already met. Indeed, the axis of the Small Aten temple points towards the royal wadi. Here, exactly as in Giza some 1,200 years before, a beautiful hierophany was planned. Indeed, the sun, seen from the temple, rises in between the sides of the wadi 2 times a year, around February 23 and October 24. The sun, framed by the sides of the wadi, creates an Aket sign, which is visible still today. To understand the meaning of this message, we recall that the Giza hierophany was intended to replicate the name of the Khufu complex, the Aket of Khufu. Well, the Amarna hierophany was created 1,200 years later to write in the sky the name of the new city. In fact, the ancient name of the capital was the Aket of Aten, the horizon of the Aten. As far as the choice of the date is concerned, it probably refers to the date of foundation of the town, which is explicitly mentioned in official inscriptions left by the king at the borders of the town. It was 13 Peret 4, the 30th day of the 4th month of the Peret season. Although it is difficult to be precise in anchoring Egyptian dates with Gregorian ones, this date actually fell around the late February in the years around 1350 BC. So, in this case, archaeoastronomy helps us in celebrating again the birthday of a town founded more than 3,000 years ago.